Hello and welcome to another edition of the Formula One Fans UK podcast. I'm Reese and I'm joined today by...
Danny.
Dan.
And Tim.
Yay.
Yeah, that's right. There's four of us this week. Of course, there is no Chris, no show Neeson. But we come...
No, because that's literally what he's going to be on. No shows.
Where's Chris?
Chris?
Where's Chris?
I bet you 10 British pounds, none of this Irish shit, that Chris is on the sofa asleep with a dog licking his foot. Done.
So that is today's caption competition. Where is Chris?
Where is Chris?
Yeah.
It's like Where's Wally, but the Northern Ireland. Is it Northern Ireland? Shots fired. Poor Chris is not here to defend himself yet again.
Let's just say right now, Chris is more elusive than an original Red Bull IP.
Ooh. Or a Red Bull side pod?
Or Red Bull Sporting Integrity. But we'll get onto that later. Because we have had a Spanish Grand Prix that was pretty good. There's no other way of saying it.
2 in a row that have been quite good.
It's fair to say, whilst that one was down to strategy, this one, it appears that these new cars might be working, because Spain was more than watchable, which is unusual. I mean, there was a lot going on. We watched a battle between Russell and Verstappen for 9 laps, and there was a lot of... I mean, no one noticed Lewis Hamilton creeping up the order because they couldn't take their eyes off of Russell versus Verstappen. But I think Danny wants to say a lot about the driver of the season so far.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Let me start off yesterday's race. George Russell should have won driver of the day, but Hamilton did make a lot of places. But let me just talk about George Russell real quick. A little bit about his racing record and how he seems to be doing this year. New team with Mercedes. Obviously, the pressure was on him. The questions was how would he do against a 7-time world champion like Lewis Hamilton. So this year he's been very consistent. He has 2 podiums, one in Australia, then the one he just scored here in Spain. He's the only driver to have a top 5 result in every race this season, which just highlights his consistency. And he currently is ahead of his own teammate, 74 to 46 points. He's having a great beginning of the year. Great start for his Mercedes career. Obviously, short term, it doesn't look like Mercedes is a competitive team, but we can definitely expect him to be a front runner as soon as Mercedes gets the proper car underneath them. The future is very bright for.
They might now
for Russell. Yeah, they had a great result. But Spain is one of Mercedes' their best track probably.
Yeah, I did feel that they were gonna, if they had the porpoising under control, I thought they were gonna go well this weekend.
Yeah,
just because it's not a power dominant track. It's not a Miami or a Spa or something like that where you just know Red Bull were gonna win.
Yeah,
Monaco next weekend as well. So
that should be a Ferrari track.
Every chance with the porpoising problem solved for the Mercedes drivers to really be up there.
Yeah, but I don't think solving the porpoising problem is the main issue. Yeah, okay, it is an issue, but they are greatly down on horsepower. I think that's like their power issues. Like they're nowhere near as fast as Red Bull or Ferrari. Like, you could fix the porpoising, but you need another 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, but there won't be.
Okay, yeah. In Monaco, it's going to be a bit different because you don't really put your foot down, but twice. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Danny can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe it was Alan Prost who said that the purpose of Grand Prix racing is to win going as slowly as possible.
Yeah.
Or for your car to make it to the end. In Ferrari's case,
Monaco next. You don't even need to drive fast to win at Monaco. If you're on pole position and you can avoid an undercut, you can just drive around, trundle around, save your tyres. You might as well you could probably do a one-stop race on soft tyres.
Hamilton
but-
had to do that 2018 after Lauda's death, where they put the medium tires, and he did a 56, I forget, over 60 lap stint in medium tires, which were only good for 50. The year before, Ricardo in 2017, he was engine issues. He was down on power and still ended up in first place over Vettel and Lewis. So yeah, Monaco's a special track where you don't have to have a lot of horsepower. You know, if they have the be at the right place at the right time, sometimes counts in Monaco, with Charles qualifying last year, even though Ferrari wasn't the fastest car all year.
But the thing is, with Monaco, it's been a shit show since 2008, really. 2008, I think, was probably the last good Monaco Grand Prix, because ever since then, they made the cars wider, and you can't go too wide through pretty much any part of the track. Drive down the middle of the straight, down to Sandoval, and you defended the position because no one can get past you, especially this season. These cars are so wide now.
Mate,
Monaco
what are you
is
on
gonna
about?
be
George Russell
procession.
drives that 8-meter wide Mercedes. No one
Exactly.
can get
I was going to
past
say,
him.
there are times when the track is narrow and the car is wide, and there are times where the track isn't so narrow, but the car is very wide.
Whilst we're on the Russell debate, I think we'll all be okay with it, but were we all okay with how he defended from Max?
There was no issue with what
one
he
or
did.
two questions.
The only questions came from Red Bull.
Yeah.
Well, the only
funny
question
that.
I had was the one on the exit of turn 3, when he did push him. He had more than a car width of tarmac, but the white line, there was not a car's width. So
I'm sorry.
He could have backed off.
You can squeeze someone there. He
Yeah,
could have backed
yeah.
off.
He could have backed
Russell
off.
was always
Max could
ahead.
have backed off.
That was last season at Monza, but there was no gravel and there was no sausage curb. So Verstappen, when he refused to back off, even though he didn't have the corner, couldn't just drive into Russell.
Yeah.
That's
It
it.
just shows Russell how good he is as a driver, the awareness that he can push Max in that part of the track around turn 3 and stay ahead for the next turn. It's just, really good.
No. I'm sorry. When you're racing a driver that drives like Max, that is completely acceptable. I'm sorry. The dude drives like he's got a death wish at the best of times.
Let's face it. If that was Verstappen running someone out wide, he would have driven them into France.
Okay, you say a driver who drives like Max, but this season, I think he has been better at his wheel-to-wheel racing. Can you think of any real moments so far this season in all the battles he's had with Leclerc and now Russell that he's really pushed over the limit? I can't.
But I think that comes down to the driver that he is racing, i.e. Leclerc and Russell. They're not Lewis. They're not
This is the
seven-time
thing.
world champion.
When you're
it's-
racing Lewis, you're racing the team, the organisation, the history.
When you're facing Lewis Hamilton, you're facing someone for a drivers' championship who has gone on record as saying that he's not going to give you the space anymore. When you're racing Charles Leclerc, you're racing someone you've got history with in go-karting. You look historically at Verstappen versus Verstappen versus Leclerc. Verstappen has been able to lunge on Leclerc and force him out wide. Look at Austria a few years ago. Just lunge, force him out wide. Leclerc, nothing to fight back. Max Verstappen has never raced George Russell. George Russell went through the ranks. Max Verstappen jumped to Formula One. George Russell has been racing around at the back. Max Verstappen got a free pass to the front when Danny Kvyat was shit. Well, not even shit, just unlucky. Because Kvyat was... he made one mistake pretty much in one race, and then they went, we need to put Max in the car, otherwise we'll lose into Mercedes.
And they still lost to Mercedes. Yeah.
Still lost to Mercedes, didn't lose him.
For like 2 or 3 years.
But yeah, like I say, there's no record of racing between George Russell and Max Verstappen, but he should have known George Russell was not going to take it lying down after how he raced Bottas in Sakir in his one shot at a race win.
That was brilliant. That was the highlight. That's probably the highlight of his career so far.
What? Wiping out Bottas?
No. Well, no. I'm talking about
Wipe out
Sakir,
Bottas? When did he wipe out Bottas?
Imola 21.
Imola.
Oh, yeah, he did wipe out Bottas then.
Wait, how did you forget that, bro?
What I was thinking of Sakir.
No.
Ah, yeah.
Secure, yeah, 2020. You overtook Bottas out in the shortened version of Secure. Right?
Oh, he did in turn 5 and 6,
Yeah.
didn't he? Yes, brilliant.
Yeah,
move.
very,
Brilliant
very.
move.
It was
Brilliant move.
Speaking of Bottas, though, there was a moment where we were hoping that George Russell still could win this race after Verstappen's undercut, and all that Bottas had to do was defend through the slowest part of the track where no one gets overtaken. And if there's anyone who's going to get overtaken where no one gets overtaken in Formula One, it's Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah.
He was fuming after the race. I don't know if anyone's seen his post-race comments. About he thinks Alfa Romeo got the strategy totally wrong, and he genuinely believed he would have been either third or fourth if they had got the strategy that he wanted at the start of the race.
Very bold.
He thinks he could have. Also, that Alfa Romeo was the second fastest car a lot of the time through Sector 3. And when that happened to Ferrari last year, they went then really fast in Monaco. So I wouldn't count him out of the top 3 or 4 finish in Monaco.
Top 3 or 4, I think, is optimistic. To be fair, unless a Red Bull or Ferrari crashes or doesn't make it, or DRS doesn't work, or just, I don't know, whatever Leclerc's issue
DRS
is.
at Monaco is not going to make much difference.
Can we just quickly on DRS? Can we just say that the most valuable player of that Spanish Grand Prix was Max Verstappen's DRS? Because first of all, when he had the DRS, he couldn't overtake George Russell, and George Russell defended brilliantly. When he did, and when he didn't have the DRS, it was hilarious because it would pop up and go straight back down, which was a fantastic drinking game. If you wanted to drink every time that happened, it was hilarious. If you wanted an even better laugh, just listen to him get angry and saying how his team is incompetent and can't get the most basic thing right.
That's pretty rough.
It was. I do look at these things sometimes and go, if that was my driver, I'd be like, no, I'm gonna fuck off the Ferrari or Mercedes because they don't do that there.
Do you know what it reminded me of? Well, no, they do, but normally it comes from Helmut or Karen Horner. They normally throw it the opposite way. It doesn't normally go back towards them. But do you know what it reminds me of when he couldn't push his button? Do you know when you play the Formula 1 game and you push the button just before the DRS zone and nothing happens, and then you forget to push it again because you've already passed it? It reminded me of that. I'm like, they're not in the DRS detection zone, Max. You can't activate it.
This was the discussion that him and his race engineer had on the radio. Is the possibility that on some laps he was hitting the button so many times that it was then registering it as a reclose.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. He was
spamming the button rather than hitting it once, and that causes it to close again.
And this is exactly it, because he was saying, "Oh, I have to press it 50 times to get it to work." It's like, no, Max, you don't, because they said just do it when you're on the curb, and when he did it on the curb, it would work, and then he just pressed it again.
Till
and
after.
it was hilarious.
It was wait till the end of the curb, wasn't it, on the exit?
What I do love is Formula One is ridiculously technical, but still, the engineer's solution was, have you tried turning it off and on again?
No, because normally that works. Normally that shit works in the cars, doesn't it? Because it's like a reset of the system. But do you know what it reminded me of? Do you know when your mum tries to use the laptop, right? And it's not loading up quick enough, and she just presses all the keys all the time? This reminds me of that. Just keep pressing it.
For most people, yeah, I know what you're saying, but for Tim, it's my mum's about to use a laptop, clear history.
Yeah.
What's Pornhub, Tim? Oh, it's research, mum. Research.
Busted Latina, what? I'm learning Spanish, mum.
I'm learning Spanish.
Reese, if you really want to open the can of worms, we can do it, but it won't be broadcastable. Oh, he's gone.
Sorry, I smacked my headphone and my video disconnected.
Yeah. If he really wants to open the can of worms, we can, Reese. But
mate, I don't think opening the can of worms is the problem. I think it's your search history.
This is why I have my own laptop. The family cannot use. With a passcode.
Tim's out here with
stop talking.
with MI6 face detection and voice analytic encryption for his laptop.
Yeah.
Every time he opens his laptop, MI6 probably knock on the front door.
Right. On to the
So,
next
we need
subject.
I genuinely have a friend who, when he was 20 or 21, ended up on on a watch list, like a terrorism watch list, because he made his own gunpowder, and then he started tracking him for all of the ingredients that he put online.
Oh, no.
My friend that now works at Dell hacked hacked a police station, well-known big police station, and instead of arresting him, they give him a job. So I was like, "You got lucky. You got lucky."
Right. Right. Back to Bottas.
Buttoss.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
No, not Bottas. No, not Bottas. Russell.
Bottas is probably on your search history though.
No, that's Bottas.
Did you buy one of his? Did you buy one of the paintings?
Of course I did.
I tried to,
You
but
will text
they
me
wouldn't
that.
ship to the United States. So
So back to Russell. I think that was the original point of Danny's
yeah,
discussion. He's 35 points, 35 or 36 off of the championship leader Leclerc.
no Max.
It's not Leclerc anymore. It's
Max.
Verstappen.
Is it Verstappen? It's 36 points off Max. If Mercedes get the speed and keep the reliability, do you still consider him as a title contender if they sort it out in the next 2 or 3 races? I do.
Yeah, I do.
I'll be honest. I still consider, well, until around 50 laps in to the last Grand Prix, I still considered any of the 6 drivers for the 3 big teams title contenders. I don't feel that way about Perez anymore because the fact that you do that to a driver in the 6th race of a 22 race calendar, when let's face it, what was he? Hang on 1 second.
Definitely had the pace to win the race.
Perez was fast enough to win the race. I don't think he would have won the race, given how things were playing out. I still think Verstappen at the pace. But my issue is that Sergio Perez is 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. He would have... Alright, Verstappen would have lost 6 points, or 7 points. Yeah, Verstappen would have lost 7 points. He would have been 1 point behind Charles Leclerc. Perez would have had 7 points more. He would have been 12 points behind Leclerc. Going if Red Bull would finish 1-2 with Perez first, it's ridiculous. I mean, like Tim said, George Russell is 36 points behind. Lewis Hamilton's probably a bit out of touch now.
6 races in is too early to be doing team order shit.
Yeah,
It's
well, I think
ridiculous.
shall we get into this? Because earlier in the weekend, we saw an Aston Martin revealed, which was a very, very close copy of the Red Bull, which led to Red Bull saying all sorts of things, including questioning the sporting integrity of Aston Martin.
How dare they?
How
dare they?
Tim?
Right, go on, Reece, you do it.
No, wait,
Oh.
no.
Say your bit.
I just want to say that their little green drink was amazing on the Red Bull.
Oh, yes! I
The little,
love that.
the green, like I don't remember what
Red
brand
Bull
it was, but the
green.
little,
The green Red Bull was
Yeah.
brilliant. The thing is, Red Bull questioning sporting integrity of another. Red Bull would not know sporting integrity if it jumped up and slapped them in the face.
Helmut Marko would choke on sporting integrity.
Sporting integrity is doing justice to your own team. You don't bin off a driver the way they binned off drivers. You have sporting integrity. You don't start rich hunts about other drivers if you have sporting integrity. But the thing is, I couldn't get my head around. I mean, 100 before this. If you cast your mind back before the Spanish Grand Prix, 189 days before that race, Jonathan Wheatley came on the radio and said, "Michael, this is all about letting them race. This is all about letting them race." Now, that one thing, George Russell battling Max Verstappen after Charles Leclerc retired, Red Bull's Twitter admin tweets, "Looks like we've got a fight for the first place." Oh, that's ironic, isn't it? Because as soon as we had another chance for a fight at first place, you fucking did team orders in race 6 of a 22 season calendar, 22 race
That is
calendar.
it, mate. That's it.
Is that as early as Schumacher Barrichello, Austria?
Schumacher Barrichello. Well, this is the thing. On May 12th, 20 years ago, was Schumacher Barrichello. 20 years ago. And it's fair to say
Was
that
it really that long ago?
20 years ago.
Jesus.
Now, this is the thing. 20 years have passed. I think it's safe to say team orders are still horrendously unpopular in Formula One. If you go on to... let's face it, Red Bull managed to piss off all of Mexico yesterday.
Yeah, they did.
To be fair, I reckon we could piss off
Danny
more people than just Mexico. I think Red Bull are half-assed it, if I'm honest.
We've already got Northern Ireland. That's the much more important country.
No one
than
opened any
Mexico.
suspicious packages for the next month.
I don't know. Let's face it. What is the best import you can get from Northern Ireland?
Well, apparently it's not an...
All right, we don't need to say that.
Apparently it's not an admin on a fucking podcast, that's for sure.
I was going to say, all we know at the moment is that an import from Northern Ireland probably has to go through more passport checks than an import from Mexico.
Well, that's because the import from Mexico just sneaks under a fence.
No.
That's
a tunnel. It's a tunnel.
Did you find that in your 1001 dad
Excellent.
jokes for all occasions?
Did you pick her up from the other side of the tunnel, Danny?
What's that?
Did you pick her up from the other side of the tunnel?
No. But I have a couple interesting stories though. But that's for another time.
Another podcast, maybe.
No, it was
his house.
I guess just real quick. I worked at a pizzeria a long time ago, and the pizza owner was like, "Hey, I have my old cook is here. He's on the phone. He needs to talk to you." So I pick up the phone. I talk to this guy. I'm like, "Hey, where are you at?" "Hey, I'm in the border town of somewhere in Texas. I need a ride. I need somebody to come pick me up." I go to the owner and I go, "He says he needs somebody to pick him up," because he spoke Spanish. He's like, "Okay, tell him to wait there. Tell him I'll wire him money and he can go at this hotel." And I can't believe what I did. I acted like a...
You were clearly involved in some misleading...
What is that noise?
Is that the immigration alarm?
What was that noise?
Oh.
You're
Oh,
having a
really?
storm. You're having a storm
We've
warning.
just had a storm.
No, I don't think
There
our
was no
storm warnings
warning
are
needed.
quite. Let's face it, our storms are not quite what Danny's storms are.
Yeah, this is that's why I kept looking that way. I was seeing trees just sway left and right.
It's
I got to say this. It did mess up my recording because that alarm went off. My phone turned off.
That's perfectly fine, mate. I ain't got to deal with it this
Yeah, we
week.
had it.
It's cool.
You're still recording then?
Yeah, I'm recording now. Yeah, I immediately started recording, so I probably lost like maybe 5
That's not too
seconds.
bad.
Okay. Wow.
So, wow. Okay.
That's first of all, we just want to give Danny some extra credit here because, while some people fall asleep before podcasts start, Danny is sitting here working on a podcast whilst having to watch a storm warning go off. A storm warning so severe that his phone has gone off.
Hey, to be fair,
credit where credit's due.
to be fair,
If you at any point see a twister start to touch down, just do us a favour,
Run.
run, all right? Because we can't afford to lose you.
right, let's be honest. If this was a storm warning in Northern Ireland, Chris would be dead. Because Chris...
No, not Chris.
Because Chris has ignored 50 messages and alarms.
He would just sleep through it. He would just sleep through it. This is the thing.
He would sleep through the apocalypse probably.
But right, have we settled on that last
Well, I think
subject?
we should-
Or do we still need to dive into team orders?
We need to dive into team
Right.
orders because we've barely spoken about team orders. Let's face it. So, as I was saying before, a literal storm warning went off. Oh, Timmy just messaged me a very crude joke.
You gotta
I
say
don't know
it.
what
We
you
can
said.
edit it out.
No.
No.
More to the
I
point,
don't
Tim.
even want that on record. I'll message you, Danny.
Okay.
I don't know why you sent a dick pic after it, but
That was only meant to be for your benefit.
I gotta follow up to that.
oh, we have gone so off the rails tonight. Anyway,
That's cool.
oh dear. Anyway, how do
I
I
sent it to both of them, by the way.
how do we continue? All right, I've done some serious research here,
Shut
and
the fuck up and get on with it
just
then.
All right. Shall we reset you up for your team order?
Yeah.
no, let's just carry on. Let's power through.
Oh, God.
Power through like your mum does with her online shopping after she sees your internet history.
The fuck?
I belong in hell. Just gonna say that. I belong in hell.
Oh dear.
Let's
Alright.
get into the team orders. Let's go.
Let's get to team orders. Anyway, it's been 20 years since what happened in Austria with Barrichello pulling over at the last turn to let Schumacher pass. It's fair to say team orders have not got any more popular. I mean, I know Tim, as a Alonso fan, is a big fan of team orders. It's the only way he's been able to win a race since 2007.
Or stopping in pit
Wow.
boxes.
Okay, bit harsh. I mean, it's how he's won 2 of his races since 2007.
2010 Germany.
There were no team orders in Valencia.
There were no team orders in Valencia, no, but there were team orders when Nelson Piquet Jr. crashed into a wall.
Oh wait.
But that was a very complicit teammate.
That was a very complicit teammate, yeah. Let's just...
That's a ride or die teammate.
More complicit than Checo was.
There was no Nelson Piquet Jr. after hitting the wall coming on. Well, I'm not happy about this, guys, but we'll speak later. There was none of that. But anyway, yeah,
Cracks in the
talking
team.
of that, speaking of Alonso winning by team orders, I think we all remember 2010. Fernando is faster than you. Ferrari were fined $100,000 for that. So
Counter to this, in 2010, team orders were officially banned.
they were.
But
they were still
now
used.
But now they are allowed.
Well, this is where we go on, because team orders were also banned in 2013 when Multi 21 came about. Now, I think Multi 21 is a big reason of why team orders are allowed in Formula 1 today. It's because you just can't police them. Multi 21 sounds like an engine mode to anyone who doesn't think twice about it until you know the backstory of it meant Multi 2-1, 2-1, car 2 stay in front of car 1.
Where was Multi 21?
It was in
Malaysia.
Malaysia, yeah.
Yes, it was indeed. Because obviously we then had Mark Webber not bad for a number 2 driver at Silverstone later that year.
Well, let's just remember that
Wait, wasn't that said
ever
in?
since
That wasn't said in 2013. That was said something else, someplace else.
Oh, was it earlier on in that time?
Yeah, I think like 2010.
yeah.
So he stayed there for 4 years.
2010 was a lot. 2010 was Germany. 2010 it was Fernando was faster than you.
Oh no, we're talking about not bad for a number 2 driver, Mark Webber. When was
That would have been Britain 2013, would it not?
Yeah.
I thought it was after the Malaysia thing.
Malaysia was 2013, and it was at the start of the season.
Yeah, because we did that we did all that at the beginning, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm
instead of
pretty
starting
confident it was.
in the middle of
I'm pretty confident it was.
bloody nowhere with
Britain.
Australia.
It was. Oh no, that was all the way back in 2010. Jeez.
That was. Oh yeah, you're right.
So it was
But
4
the thing
years
is-
earlier.
All right, team orders following Multi 21, they became allowed again because you just couldn't police it. But I mean, this is where things are a bit different. I mean, I found this next example, I found that this was embarrassing for me, and I found it difficult to stomach, knowing that this is how a race was won. But going to the 16th of 21 races in 2018, Lewis Hamilton had a 40-point lead over Sebastian Vettel in the Drivers' Championship. It was just between those two. There was no one else involved, and no one else could really win. But Hamilton was able to take the win after Bottas, who had the fastest lap, pole position, and been the better driver all weekend, was told, move over. And this caused people wanting team orders to be banned again in Formula One. And I mean, after this weekend, and now it's just, 6 races into a 22 race season, it's just ridiculous.
I didn't like the outcome of what you said, where Bottas had to pull over for Lewis. After, I kind of understood, after we throw our toys out the pram and rant and rave, it's like, that is Mercedes putting their best chance forward, their best foot forward. I get that.
Yeah, it was a 1-2, from best maximum points, but you're guaranteeing a driver's championship.
Exactly.
Well.
So from a sporting standpoint, it was shit. From a money standpoint and point standpoint for Mercedes, it was their best chance and their best choice. But at what point does team orders affect our sport and not make it better? Not that it's ever going to make it better, but at what point does it rob us of, who's to say after that Bottas hadn't have got like more points, a couple of DNFs by the other drivers and stuff like that, they could have brought him into contention potentially. Like the same shit we've had with Checo already, 6 races in. Who's to say Max car doesn't break down for the next 5 races and Checo gets all the points?
Yeah, it's been played with unreliability this season, the Red Bull. So how do you know it's not going to happen to Verstappen?
Exactly.
For me, I just think the only one way you could stop team orders is by hitting teams where it hurts, and that's prize money. And I don't mean docking them prize money for using team orders. I mean, your prize money should be awarded at the end of the season. Rather than on your constructor's position, it should be how high up you're in the standings your second driver finishes. So say you finish first and third, say you finish first and fourth in the Drivers' Championship, and someone finishes second and third. The team who finished third with their second place with the number 2 driver should get more money than the team finishes fourth. Pretty much. Imagine you're team ordering someone all the time, and that driver finishes 8th in the championship. You might win the constructors, you might win the drivers, but if you're then getting less money because number 2 drivers are getting where the prize money's at. I think that's how it should. That's the only way I think you can stop it.
Interesting format, because just looking at quick history, 2018 Hamilton was first. I think Bottas was 5th in the title. And Mercedes did win the constructors that year, but I just don't think it'll be consistent in handing out what team is very deserving. We also have to count potential DNFs, DNFs that the second driver might get that might hinder the prize pool. Yeah.
Can I go back a bit further? 1999. Eddie Irvine was obviously not the number 1 driver for about half the season. Schumacher breaks his leg at Silverstone. Irvine lost the championship by 2 points. Everyone forgets that he drove Hakkinen right to the wire. 2 points is all that the difference was in that season.
See,
and
that's it.
Can you imagine if the garages were given an equal share of the resources, the commitment, and then even the strategy for the first 6-7 races of that season? Irvine wins the championship.
Yeah, we would have had another British world champion.
What about
because
if they cost capped or prize capped the top 3 or 4 teams of if you finish first, second, third, or fourth, you get the same prize money, but then they wouldn't be forced to do team orders, would they? Because would be.
That wouldn't discourage them though, because you just be like, well, let's win the thing that gives us the most recognition. which
the
is by
drivers.
going win the championship. But you're not hurting him financially. I mean, no one would sign up as well to either of these ideas because the F1 teams are greedy. It's I mean, you just look at the NFL these days with what's going on with the Washington, with what's going on with the Washington Commanders. There's only one way you can piss off a rich man, and that's by cheating him out of more money.
Money, money, money.
Can we add the point that I think we all agree that Max would still have won that race on pace, regardless of whether he was let through to attack Bottas, Perez, or whether he then let through Max later.
He would have, but this is what happened. We had a record attendance for a Spanish Grand Prix. 278,000 people attended over the weekend.
Actually, to be fair, wasn't it? It was in the end. It was too much for them to handle, wasn't it? With the facilities.
It was too much for them to handle with the traffic, but a record number of people attended a race of which they were cheated out of an authentic overtake for the lead. Now, you can't really tell that because the Orange Army is busy cheering.
As Hamilton fans, though, how many times did we sit here and go, well done, Valtteri, you moved out the way when Hamilton's charging through the field?
No, because it was always embarrassing.
How many times? Spain last year, Valtteri was being questioned for his commitment to the team for not moving out the way of Lewis by a lot of people.
Fuck you, Tim. Fuck you for bringing up a fucking opinion. Go away.
Yeah, this is
exactly.
We all look at this as Mercedes fans, but we've watched Mercedes do this for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. However many long Bottas was there for.
Not a Mercedes fan. Just saying this right now. I like the British drivers. Carlos Sainz is my favourite. So George, Lewis, they're British drivers, so they race for Mercedes. So I like the drivers, but team doesn't make a difference to me. They could both drive for Aston Martin. They could both drive for
That'd be very
Sauber.
weird.
It would make no difference. But that's where my loyalties lies to those drivers.
They couldn't drive for Aston Martin because one of them would be taken up by Stroll.
Yeah, true. But this is the thing. I mean, there's two things in F1. Team orders have always been a problem. I mean, it's not. I mean, you could go. It was really extreme back at the start when Formula One was starting off. 1951 French Grand Prix.
Oh no, way back.
Luigi
Luigi
Fagelli was asked to pull over and get out his car to give it to Fangio so Fangio could finish the race.
But again, Fangio won the championship by a couple of points and Ferrari was nowhere. So
yeah,
fuck that,
but
like,
it was
mate,
pretty extreme. But
not having the car, fuck off.
This is the thing. Team orders, I think drivers should be commended for refusing team orders. Daniel Ricciardo, of course, was refusing team orders. Max Verstappen was refusing team orders in Baku 2017, I think it was.
18.
Well, you know where they had their 18, yeah. When they had that infamous crash of where Verstappen decided to move across at the last minute, unsettled.
Mate, I tell you what, right? That crash still bothers me. Like, it still triggers me. Like, to this day.
Oh, but you mean the fact that they told Ricciardo to apologise for something that wasn't his fault?
No, it's the fact that, like, how can the same team members crash on a straight going into a corner?
Well, it's because one driver moved across and unsettled the car and caused an accident.
Because he drives like a. See you next Tesco's. That's because he drives like.
You were so close to saying it then.
He drives like
wow.
But he drives like a dick.
Yeah, let's just say dick.
Absolutely.
But going back, as Tim was saying about refusing team orders and Bottas, when he refused to move out the way, it showed some strength. And you look historically at, the 1980s was, with Formula One. If I was alive in the 80s, I would have just absolutely loved it because I thought the cars looked at their best then. The noise was incredible. The drivers in the 1980s were all rock stars. Now,
they're fashion icons.
Now they're fashion icons. They're brand ambassadors. They are Twitch celebrities.
Please tell me you're about to bring up Villeneuve and Ferroni.
Are
we going to go there? Is that where we're going?
I was going to. There were two more examples before that, though.
All right, go on then.
First of all, let's face it. 1981, Brazilian Grand Prix. Carlos Reutemann refused calls to move over for Alan Jones, which this was really bizarre though, because of course at the time Reutemann was ahead in the championship. But that was, integrity. Don't move over. Do your job. Be a badass rock star. 1982, Rene Arnoux refused to move over for Alain Prost. Don't matter who you are, how big you are. Why should you have to move over? And then, of course, as Tim said, Didier Pironi deciding to pass Jules Villeneuve at San Marino Grand Prix.
And it led to Villeneuve's death, actually, the next race.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was so angry, wasn't he?
Qualifying session, wasn't it?
He didn't follow team orders.
Belgian Grand Prix qualifying. Because he was just...
Well, he disobeyed the team and then crashed into the person that they were trying to avoid him colliding with.
Yeah, pretty much. Because he was angry. Let's face it, he was angry and that happened.
Well, in the other side of the coin, we've had some good instances of team orders. We have had some good instances. Yeah, 2016 Monaco. Nico was in second to Ricciardo first, Hamilton in third. They asked Nico to step to the side and let Hamilton through. He had better pace in the rain, and Hamilton ended up winning that race, even though Rosberg ended up in seventh. So yeah, that was.
I think that's different though to what happened this week. What happened in most of these examples though, because Rosberg wasn't in contention for a win. Carlos Sainz was. Valtteri Bottas was.
Legitimately was Bottas.
Villeneuve was.
I don't see it.
Bottas would have won that race in Sochi. There's no escape.
Yeah, he would have done.
He would have won that.
Oh
yeah.
2018 Russia, right?
Yeah.
Russia 2018.
So, with reference to actually yesterday's race, I didn't actually have a problem with the fact that Checo was asked to move out the way. Where my problem lied is that when Checo was on the fresher rubber and much faster than Max earlier on in the race, is that Perez then had to sit there and wasn't given the chance to attack Russell earlier on. And this is the point of, I think this is where Checo's frustration, because when he said that's not fair, he's saying that earlier on in the race, he had the faster car and he wasn't given the chance to actually improve his position from that. Because could you imagine if he got past Russell 4 or 5 laps earlier, having been allowed to pass Verstappen, maybe he is 10, 15 seconds down the road further, and then it is a decision of, right, to actually let Max through, I've got to slow down by a lot more.
Absolutely.
And it's the first one that bugs me, not the second one. Him moving out the way at that point in the race is completely right. But
this is exactly it though, because Max Verstappen was stuck behind George Russell for 9 laps.
Yeah.
In those 9 laps, Sergio Perez gained 15 in the first 4 laps of that, Sergio Perez gained 15 seconds on the battle.
Yeah.
He gained 15 seconds in 4 laps because of those two squabbling. Sergio Perez, when he was racing Russell at the start of the race, couldn't pass him on matching rubber. That's fair enough. I mean, Russell drove brilliantly. He was a match for the Red Bulls on the same age of tyres. Perez needed 1 lap.
Yeah.
1 lap, 1 attempt when he was on fresh rubber to get past George Russell.
And he was there.
If they had let him do that, Perez could have been so far up the line. Yeah. And then if you go back and if Russell defends as hard as he defends for another 5 laps, like Tim says, Perez is 15, 20 seconds up the road.
But this then brings the debate. Do you think if they'd have got towards the end of the race and Max is catching Checo, would they have let them race if it was 5 or 6 laps to go? Would they have
Nope.
still? I
don't think so.
I still think they'd have let. I still think they'd have asked Checo to move over. But then I think Checo would have been less.
The
compliant.
age of tyres, Tim. The change at the age of tyres. If Verstappen had 1 lap where he decided to do as he was told and press the DRS button once, he would have got past Perez on the tyres, because I mean you saw on different rubber he was able to drive past and overtake in a position where you can never possibly overtake on Bottas.
But then also you have the fact of once Checo made his third pit stop to put him in line with Verstappen, he was gaining time, lap after lap for the last 5-6 laps. Didn't put him in a. I know Verstappen's probably taking it off the gas by then, but Perez got the fastest lap of the race, and it was quite a bit faster than Verstappen's fastest.
Well, I'm just going to realise we have been bashing on Verstappen a lot in this podcast, but we have to
Normally
say
deserves
he did.
it.
I mean, he deserved to win.
Yeah, he did deserve the win overall.
He deserved to win. I mean, let's face it, he got caught out by a gust of wind and recovered well. Same as Sainz, recovered well from the gust of wind. But I mean, it's just very frustrating, and I don't understand how you can look at that and go, yeah, I won that race, and it was all my work, and I recovered well, and it was on me, when your teammate moved out the way.
You've just mentioned the other part of Checo's argument as well, which is that Checo didn't make the mistake. Checo didn't run off.
Checo was flawless. Checo was flawless on a worse
off.
strategy.
But
he on a worse strategy, and
the problem is
nearly won the. He would have won the race.
The problem is they have brought in to Max Verstappen is going to be a multiple world champion, no matter what it takes. It's going to happen, and they are just putting all of their eggs in the Max Verstappen basket. It's as simple as that, and they've shown that 6 races in. Max Verstappen is where they are putting all of their money, is where they're putting all of their effort.
But again, as a Lewis fan, Dan, you saw them do that to Bottas and you didn't complain for 6 years.
It's never that early in a season.
Also,
like I said, they used it. They did that once for a race win.
I do not,
and that was pretty much to seal the drivers' championship.
They've done it a couple of times.
I do not believe that Bottas
they have moved him out. They have moved him out the way.
As what Sergio is, also.
Really controversial statement.
I do think Sergio Perez is one heck of a driver. I mean, let's face it, the guy was getting second places in a Sauber.
Yeah. I also think that Bottas is one hell of a driver. The man was getting podiums in a Williams. I'll counter your Sauber with a shit Williams.
Also, he's getting top 10s in the Alfa Romeo. So
Williams was lining up. That Williams was lining up 1 and 2, Tim. Don't forget that Williams lined up 1 and 2 in Austria.
It did.
Right, that was a good car. Losing Bottas is where it all went wrong for Williams.
2014 Austria qualifying that's a different story.
Yeah, that's a very controversial story in itself, isn't it? With the Williams setups and the fuel loads and everything.
I'm pretty sure
that's another kettle of fish.
I'm pretty sure whoever hired Latifi, their employment is where it went wrong.
Well, but let's not forget, before Latifi, it was Lance Stroll.
And let's not forget that Lance Stroll got 2 podiums in that Williams.
That's true. It's true.
That's true.
Very true.
And that was when Felipe Baby struggled.
But then Daddy brought him a race team and it was all okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, 2018 German Grand Prix, Hamilton from 14th and then first. The famous Valtteri James radio call. He told
Valtteri James hold position.
Well, like, James, it's Valtteri.
James, it's Valtteri.
Go fuck yourself.
James, it's Valtteri. That's the call he got in Miami, wasn't it? That's the call Bottas got in Miami when he moved out the way.
Mm.
He just heard it in his head, and then he slid to the side, and they let both the Mercedes through.
I think there's some people would say that what happened to Perez, anyone...
It's dirty. It's simple as that. It's dirty.
It was dirty.
Dirty Red
Some would call it daylight robbery. And on the subject of daylight robbery, we'll wrap it up with one final topic, which, Dan, daylight robbery?
We are not safe. No one's safe. We're not even safe in Spain. A
country known for its crime and corruption.
A country known for its crime, corruption, and pickpocketing.
It's an epic resort for most EU British people. It's 3 hours away. It's, you expect to deal with a little bit of it, but when Sebastian Vettel's getting robbed, maybe, just maybe, with what's happened recently, where we've had Vettel robbed in Spain, Leclerc was robbed in Italy, I'm pretty sure Hamilton got robbed in Brazil, and Lando's getting mugged outside Wembley. Are we going to start seeing maybe security teams with these drivers now? Because I'm not being funny. as much as I like that little girl that goes around with Lewis Hamilton's and holds his little backpack and his scooter, I don't think she's gonna cut
Angela
it.
Cullen.
I don't think Angela's gonna cut it unless she does some taekwondo or some jiu-jitsu. I don't think she's gonna be enough to
I
protect
assume
him.
that drivers do have their own security.
Well, no, this is the thing, because Vettel was just driving. He stopped for
Yeah,
whatever
and they
reason.
just
Traffic
reached
lights
in
saying he had his window
and
down.
grabbed
Someone
it.
reached in and grabbed his bag.
Like,
Oh no.
So he went off and pursued them. This is amazing though, because he realised that his AirPods were in the bag and they had tracking inbuilt to them. So he tracked his AirPods
through his
and
phone.
chased these people on a scooter. He tracked them using his phone, chased them on a scooter, and he was only thrown off the scent when they
Ditched the
people who robbed
AirPods.
him realised that the
Ditched it. They're like,
AirPods.
oh shit!
And they
shit,
ditched the
chuck
AirPods.
it. Also,
I mean,
Sounds like a movie. Sounds like it should be made into a movie.
Also, I'm pretty sure Leclerc and Lando had both the same watches.
Richard Mille.
they both had their watches
No,
stolen.
but it was the same brand of watch as well. Maybe they're being targeted.
Richard Mille.
Yeah.
Richard Mille.
Oh, we all know about Richard Mille, don't we?
Yes.
Miami. That's one thing I want to say. There was no grid walk this week.
What? But why was there no grid walk?
Was there no Brundle?
Yeah, but we.
Was he in the commentary? Yeah, he was in the commentary box.
And
Yeah.
also with this new F1 team that we have for Sky Sports F1, I'm pretty sure any of them can do a grid walk because we've seen
I mean,
Crofty do a bloody grid walk.
Johnny and Damon's grid walks were the
Yeah.
best. When you couldn't get Brundle, get Johnny and Damon on do one.
I love Johnny.
I'm not being
doesn't
funny.
look like that, but-
It seemed to me with no grid walk that I think maybe there was some logistical issues within the Spanish facility that was maybe causing some hassle.
278,000 people might be too much for Martin Brundle to get round.
Or maybe it was already pre-planned
He was
that
stuck
they
in a
weren't going to
topless
do
line.
it. But no, loads of people missed their flights because they couldn't get out because they were making people show their entry passes on the way out. Loads of people missed their buses. Loads of people missed just generally late, but by sometimes about an hour getting out of the track.
I've got a friend who's on a cruise and he was at the Spanish Grand Prix. I assume he made it out. He's not saying anything else to say that he's missed his boat back for whatever reason. But like you say, yeah, it was concerning that people couldn't get out. But I think what's concerning is like Dan said, he's given several examples. Drivers do get mugged. There were also whole teams. Let's face it, in Brazil, whole teams were getting mugged. They were getting pulled over in their team minivans and
Just give it to them and they'll go away and they'll leave you because I'm pretty sure giving robbers what they want sorts the problem out. It makes them not want to do it again, obviously.
We also remember Fangio was kidnapped by Cuban rebels back in the 50s. And he was held for ransom.
Is this just how far we can go back?
No, but it's just a great topic that you mentioned, crimes against F1 drivers, and Fangio was literally a political prisoner.
Are we going to bring up Hitler's love for Dick Seaman in a moment?
If it's F1 related, I'm sure we can tie it in for you.
It is indeed.
Because Dick Seaman didn't make it to Formula 1, did he?
No, because he died in 1938 at a crash in Spa. But he was Hitler's favourite racing driver, and he was British, and did not drive a Mercedes.
Yep, this is true. Tim is not being crude. This is when there is Dick Seaman on Tim's internet history. For once, it's not expletive.
Yeah, he burned in a pool of magnesium.
Yikes!
It wasn't great on the front stretch at the old Spa coming up to Le Source.
I can think of better ways to go. To be fair,
Yeah,
barbecued.
There are better ways to spend your weekend.
But the point of that was Hitler's favourite
dick.
racing driver.
But anyway, there are better ways to spend your weekend, And with that, we've got a tremendous way that you can spend your weekend coming up. The 10th of July, we are hosting our first race meetup.
Whoop, whoop.
We'll be at the Hippodrome Casino in London. It's
All
right
right.
outside Leicester Square Station. I mean, it's right outside. You look at the photo of the Hippodrome Casino, you can see Leicester Square Station next door. So, if you live in London, around London, if you like to travel, if you're in the UK for the weekend, come along. We're hoping to get a lot more going on, and hopefully we'll have more news in the coming weeks about more of the stuff we'll be putting on.
And we should point out this
Until
is
then,
for the Hungarian
it's not.
Grand Prix.
For the
I believe,
no.
isn't it? Oh, which one is it? We should point out this is for the Austrian Grand Prix.
Yes, it is for the Austrian Grand Prix. Well done, Tim. We chose the Austrian Grand Prix. Just poll in our Facebook group showed it was the more popular one, and so yeah, you asked, we delivered. And speaking of things that always deliver, another thing that always delivers is Apex Tracks, who are the show sponsor of the podcast. For all your 3D printed track wall art needs, head to apextracks.com. That's apextraxs.com.
All right.
And on that note, Joss, if you make it to the Hippodrome, drinks are on me. Don't be shy. Show your face.
You hear that?
Come see us.
Show your face, Joss. We'd love to see
Definitely.
you there. Dan is coming all the way from Devon.
I am. Many hours. Many hours travel.
I'll extend that offer to Luke as well, the founder and creator of Formula One Fantasy UK.
If we can get the big boss down to, I think that'd be pretty cool. But until then, guys, I think it's been a interesting podcast. We've learnt about team orders. We've learnt about the safety of F1 off the track. We've learnt how great George Russell is. We've learnt about Hitler's favourite driver, and we've learnt too much about Tim. So,
And we also learned that Chris wouldn't make it. Never mind. Rest in peace, Chris.
Where is Chris?
Love you long time.
We also learned that Danny has great commitment to this podcast.
yeah. with that, everyone, until next time, enjoy the racing in Monaco, and Danny seek shelter. Cheerio, guys.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Alright, can I just say, right? Some of my family fucking listen to this podcast.